We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. This is a City of Texas City budget workshop. We have to have two of these, and this is the first of two. The first one will be next week on August the 12th at 5 o'clock. To begin with, we're going to start with roll call, starting with Commissioner District 2. Okay, yeah, we're missing one.
Barbie Tucker, District 2.
Ryan Getchis, Commissioner at Large.
Abel Garza, Mayor.
Wade Johnson, Commissioner at Large.
Chris Sharp, District 3.
Jason Delgado, District 4.
This is going to be a good meeting because this is a meeting we've all been waiting for, so we'll turn it over to the star of the show, Ms. Laura Boyd. Hold on, Ms. Boyd. Here comes DeAndre Knoxon. We have a full commission.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the first of two budget workshops. This is the calendar so that you can get an idea of how this process works. Late May, early June, there's budget meetings between the department heads and the mayor. And then phase two, July 10th was the deadline for the city to submit truth and taxation information to the county tax assessor. July 27th, deadline for the chief appraiser from the appraisal district to certify the tax rolls. And then on July 29th, the city received the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approval tax rate statements and schedules from the tax office. And part of the requirement when budget is being discussed, as you'll see previously on the agenda, was a taxpayer impact statement. And it shows what the current adopted tax rate is, the no new revenue rate, and then once the commission has selected a proposed tax rate, that will be shown here as well. So for the no new revenue rate for tax year 26, fiscal year 26-27, it's 0.497231, and the median taxable value of a homestead, $188,833, estimated annual tax bill, $938.94. You might wonder, well, why is the no new revenue rate higher than the current rate? Well, because the tax values went down. And when I present the proposed tax rate to you at a future meeting, I will go into more detail regarding property values and how the tax rate is calculated, and we'll get in deeper into that. So August 5th, today, and next week on the 12th, budget workshops, and then the proposed tax rate and the other rates will be on the city's website August 10th. August 14th, we'll schedule hearings on the budget. Regular call meeting on August 19th is when I will present to you the proposed tax rate for you to vote on. And then we have a couple of required notices of budget public hearing. And then on the 16th of September is when the commission will there will be a budget hearing, adopt the budget, adopt the tax rate, and approve the certified tax roll. So in tonight's workshop, I'm only going to go over the general fund budget, which is the largest of the funds. It's where most of the departments are, the main maintenance and operations of the city. On the summary page. This schedule here is a summary that shows the general fund revenues and expenditures. The amended budget for the current year, what's year-end projection, and then proposed budget. As you are probably aware, the two largest components of the general fund revenues is property taxes and sales tax. And you might wonder, well, why is the amended budget $30.6 million on property tax? Projection is 32.5, and then the proposed is 31.1. Well, when the tax office and the appraisal district provide their information, that's at a certain time, a certain date and time. So in July of this year, they're saying that the appraised values are X amount. Well, throughout the tax year, they submit supplemental valuation reports, which typically those are higher than what was originally certified. Consequently, the tax levy ends up being higher than what was originally budgeted, what was originally adopted, because of these supplemental valuation increases. So that's why you're seeing the $2 million difference between the amended budget and the year-end projection. Now, the proposed budget on the revenues, I have assumed that the no new revenue rate of 0.497231 is what will be adopted. So that's where the 31 is coming in. That likely, based on previous history, likely will increase, resulting in larger property tax revenues. Then, if you go down to the expenditures, Romari, thank you. Here are the various departments that are covered into the general fund. We have general government, which there's some staff personnel that are in there, and then the pay for the mayor and the commissioners is also included in that department. Finance is, as you expect, finance. Legal, purchasing, planning, which is also includes engineering. And you've got IT, human resources, and communications. Well, the general government department and human resources, communications, and neighborhood improvement services and facility management were all departments that were added in last fiscal year. Anyway, so police, fire, neighborhood improvement services used to be a piece of the fire department, and then it was broken out to a separate department. They still report to the fire chain of command. You've got inspections, municipal court, emergency management, public works, sanitation, pump station, the aforementioned facility management, recreation, tourism, library, golf course, animal control, and grants administration are the last of the two of those. We can go into the more detail on the expenditure side of, well, scroll up a little bit and we'll stay on this one. Previous, excuse me, next page, I'm sorry. Here we go. The beginning fund balance for the current fiscal year, I'll be honest and tell you I'm not real confident in that number because the 24-25 audit has not been completed. It is in progress, but not complete. And then consequently, the subsequent fund balances I'm not terribly confident in right now. By the time I bring you the budget for you to adopt, hopefully we'll have that more knocked down or in detail. The Forvis Mazars accounting firm is currently doing the 24-25 audit, and they expect to be done with their field work, which is their in-depth testing of accounts payable, accounts receivable, all the things that go into the financials. They expect to be done with that September 18th, and once they're done with that, then they will prepare the report. So hopefully we have better numbers closer we get to September 16th when you'll adopt the budget. You can go to the next. So this is a more detailed view of the revenues. Taxes also includes the delinquent taxes, penalties, and interest. Other taxes and assessments, the big ones, state sales tax, and then our Texas New Mexico Power franchise tax is also a big component there. Then the next grouping is all the various licenses and permits. And then we have grant revenue, charges for services, which is the big one there is garbage pickup and disposal, EMS patient charges, that sorts of things. And then the other various revenue line items. So what I'm expecting budget-wise for total revenues of $81.8 million. And typically, we're quite conservative when we budget for revenues. That's why we don't often bring back before commission to revise the revenue items. Like when I was talking about before, when we get supplemental reports or evaluations from the CAD, we don't usually bring it back before commission to say we're revising the revenue budget. Any questions so far on the revenues?
Yes, ma'am. So, Ms. Boyd, it looks like, just to start off, if we're planning 84 million in spend on 81 million in revenues, 81.8, 82, there's roughly a 2 million deficit there. So then would that come from general fund or some reserve fund to cover that, or we're hoping for the revenues
Well,
upside?
it would be coming from the fund balance. Historically, like I said, we budget conservatively on the revenue side and try to be as tight as possible on the expenditure side. I don't like having the 2.3 deficit, obviously. The city charter requires that the revenues or the expenditures not exceed revenues for the entire budget, not just one fund. So, like, you know, this is the first look at this, and I'm hoping to bring back a better total.
Understood. Yeah, it's my perception that we're behind on certain areas and we may need to catch up on investment, and I'm assuming we'll get further into that here in a moment. But I do want to draw out for the other commissioners that I've been beating the drum about the need for more development, residential developments, commercial development, but expanding development in our city will help, not immediately, but over some amount of time, drive more property tax and sales tax revenues. Is that a fair summary?
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let me go to expenditures. Here's the general government department. As we go through these different departments, if you'd like to ask questions, I'll entertain those. I will tell you, for all the general fund departments, even those that had requested personnel increases, the numbers that I'm providing to you here assume a 3% cost of living adjustment and does not include funding for any new positions. So I just wanted to make that note. So in the general fund, general government department, they currently have 7 employees. And they did not request any additional. You want to scroll down to the finance? Yeah, next, there we go. The finance department currently has 9 personnel, no requests for additional. And the total, yeah, go to the total, yeah. 6, sorry, go back up there. Almost 6 million budgeted there. In the finance department, not just the usual expenditures, the TERS tax payments come out of the finance department, and any sales tax rebates come out of here with a 50-50 split between the finance department and the EDC. And go to the next.
Before you move forward, I'm trying to find that in my own copy. I had written some notes on it, but if I'm reading this correctly, Ms. Boyd, there's a jump from 4.2 to almost 6. What are some of the chunky parts of that increase?
Well, the biggest one looks like to be, it's the contractual services. You want to go to the, yeah.
The 1.5 on the insurance.
Right. Well, if you notice, the current budget has nothing there. I'm not sure where the insurance, that's something we're trying to,
Where was insurance for this
where it
fiscal
was,
period?
where it was, I mean, it was paid. I just don't know exactly where it was paid from. Normally, it would have been paid out of where I have it budgeted for.
Maybe it's in one of those sub-accounts.
I'll let you, I will answer that when I find out where is it. But rest assured, the insurance has been paid, it's just not been paid out of where it usually had been paid from.
So that's 1.5 difference, 1.5 million difference out of the 1.8, Commissioner. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
It's a pretty big chunk.
Pretty big chunk right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had very diligent notes, and then my computer crashed, and I lost most of them, so I'm struggling to catch up. But please continue, Ms. Boyd.
You want to go to the legal department? Currently, there is one person in the legal department that's paid salary and benefits from the city. And then we contract for legal fees, and that shows up in the professional fees line item. And then the court prosecutor fees, previously they were recorded out of municipal court, but it's more appropriate that it come from the legal department. So that's why it's in here instead of municipal court.
So to the extent that we incur expense, incremental expense to handle litigation, and I'm assuming then we would use outside legal services to defend ourselves against any suits, is that in that professional fees line item?
Yes. And also, most of the departments have a professional fees line item. Sometimes if it's, for example, if it's a police matter, then it would come from the police professional fees. It would be department specific.
Yeah, that's specifically what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Is
it
my
would be in
perception is we have ongoing litigation. I don't know that, but where is that being paid for? And so maybe it's
It would be dependent on the department that's involved.
noted. Thank you.
And go to purchasing. Purchasing, there's currently one person. Just a couple of days ago, there were two people. So there's transition going on in that department. It's basically staying flat with the projection versus the budget. You go to the next.
Does this reflect one or two people?
The proposed budget right now is reflecting one person.
We're not intending to backfill then?
That hasn't been decided yet. The planning department is also engineering. And there are 3 people in that department currently. The biggest ticket on this department, well, the 2 items, professional fees and Connect Transportation. Connect Transportation is the city's contractual obligation to Connect Transit. And then the professional fees, there are numerous entities that are doing work, engineering and planning wise, and that comes out of that line item.
A couple of things before we put away purchasing. So it was my perception that under the previous administration, there had been some amount of effort to centralize procurement in some way. I may be misstating that, but that previously, on the decades prior, certain departments that procure a lot of things had their own procurement-related capability. So if we're currently considering, do we backfill or do we not backfill, does that have some impact then on this other capacity, or am I just wrong about my notions on all that?
All I can tell you is how, like I said, decades previously, there was one purchasing person for all departments except for Public Works. Public Works had one dedicated person that reported to the Public Works Director that was doing purchasing for Public Works utilities. It has not been decided yet as to if that's gonna revert back to that, or if some other variation.
It would seem to make a lot of sense. The things that Jack's department procures have a high degree of technical specificity and complexity, and so to try to centralize that in some way would seem like, why do that?
Well, and another component of centralized purchasing, you have to have a place to warehouse things. And anyway, that's another component of it. So,
Thank you.
Commissioner, it hadn't been decided yet as to how that's going to be handled. I will present what Public Works has requested, and then it'll be commission to determine how they want to proceed with it.
Okay, thank you. Moving ahead to planning then. So this has been a topic that I've discussed with a number of people in one-to-one discussions, that given the sheer volume of potential, I'm optimistic about it. I think hopefully for the assembled public and other commissioners, we've connected the dots between we need things like Latitude, Margaritaville to help improve our revenue situation. But whether people agree with me on that or not, there will be a lot of engineering associated with that, and engineering of different types. I'm no engineer, but I think there's probably 15 or 20 different types of engineering specificities that are needed for that. And so a discussion that's I've been a part of a few of, speaking extemporaneously, I've been in a few discussions about best practices that we might see in other cities around us, which would involve utilizing a third-party engineering firm where it makes sense for them to have all those different specialties. Where we need those on an ad hoc basis, we utilize this third-party engineering firm. And as I also understand it, those third-party engineering firms are largely paid for by fees that are incurred through permits. Most recently this week, what I had heard was, yeah, well, Jason, we can't do that because it's too expensive. Now, whether this is all hearsay, innuendo or not, as I look at the planning expenditures then, and I think that we have an interim city engineer, as I look at these line items, does that assume that we're backfilling? Should Mr. Kniper move on to whatever's next? Or what assumptions should we make about personnel in the planning department?
Doug, feel free to.
There was a lot there.
Well, I have a question.
It's kind of a sensitive point, though, because there's a backlog of.
Well, Commissioner, the ongoing projects within the city does use third-party engineers. And then depending on the project, other engineers could be brought in. I mean, that's standard operating procedure. Regardless if there's an interim city engineer or a full-time city engineer, there's other engineers that are involved depending on the project.
Understood. What I understand.
That represent that are there on behalf of the city.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, pardon me, I never want to offend or speak over you. But where I'm going with this is, if you're a developer, and let's say that you're trying to build 3,500 homes in our city, and then you're pre-selling out in advance, and you make commitments to Mr. and Mrs. Boyd that their home is going to be ready on date certain, then whenever they need an inspection, they really need it done within a really narrow time frame. And now if I have 500 of those homes being constructed all in tandem, that would easily exceed our capacity to respond with the horsepower, the manpower that we have. So I can table this for discussion with the mayor and others at a later time, but I just wanted to, if indeed this Margaritaville development happens, and I'm hopeful it does, that could put a significant strain on our ability to respond timely with all sorts of inspections.
Ms. Boyd, do you mind if
Sure.
Commissioner Delgado, I think you're specifically referring to the Margaritaville, the influx of homes and if we can keep up with the demand of them building. Is that what you're speaking to?
Exactly that.
Through the workshops that we've had with Margaritaville, I believe, and anybody else involved can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're going to be footing 100% of that bill. I think they said 110% of it that they're going to be covering. So
even though there's going to be a lot of homes that are doing it in more than one phase, the first phase is probably maybe 400 acres, and they're only gonna build 50 homes a month. And in discussing this with Doug Kniper, they'll be able to keep up with 50 homes a month.
So be it. Just what I'm making sure is that we're not planning to do a lot of hiring when we could utilize third parties as a best practice, and particularly when we don't have to pay those third parties up front, that their cost is covered by the fees that are incurred.
If that comes a point, I'm sure that third party will come into play.
Fantastic, thank you.
When we use a third-party engineering company, they don't always control your staff, like what we have. With Greg Kniper, he's over-engineering with our staff.
Yeah, the third-party engineer is
So that's hard to
not
find. So we
controlling our
couldn't
staff.
replace the head of our engineering with the third party. We had to do both. Right? Or unless we find one that will do that staff.
Yeah, the search is still ongoing. We did interview a third-party engineering group, and they did not want to manage the staff, evaluate the staff, assign assignments, so that company didn't work out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of the problem, right?
Yes, yes.
You wanna go to IT? Okay, we've got IT, and they've got 4 personnel, and they've requested 1 administrative assistant. The big ticket item for, slow down. One of the big ticket items is communications, and a couple of years ago, or maybe this current fiscal year, no, it was 24, 25 from what I recall. The communications budget was put all in innovation and technology. Previously, each department, if applicable, would have a communications line item, but then it was all moved into IT. IT also takes care of the maintenance contracts or renewals and licenses for various software that is used across city departments. Now, if it's a specific software that's used by one department, that department will be responsible for paying for that software. But if it's a citywide system, then IT pays for that in their budget.
Is that feasible to have 4 people do?
It's, they're very busy, and you know, they've requested an admin assistant to handle some of the paperwork and that sort of thing. That way they can be out, the other 4 can be out in the field handling whatever needs to be handled at various other departments.
Thank you.
I'll defer to Joe on this, but I'd met with himself and Kyle on this, that I'm a big fan of investing in IT because it can enable more automation and more throughput and more efficiency and more services. So I was personally expecting to see a significant, a bigger increase right here, but I'll defer to if Joe thinks this is right, then so be it.
Well, obviously, we'd like to have 3 or 4 more.
I think my private coaching was, this is an area of the staff, I would suggest doubling it. Yeah, but if 1 is the incremental step supported by the mayor, then so be it.
Of course, the other side of that coin is if you have good systems that work well, you may not necessarily need.
I don't think we have that though, do we?
It's well, never mind. We can go to the human resources.
One question, what's contractual services and communications? What's the difference between,
You can go back to that page, please.
is the
Contractual services is the total of all of those, security through workers' comp.
Okay, thank you.
Now we go to human resources. Like I said, this department was created in 24-25. It was previously part of the overall administration department, which had city secretary, human resources, finance, all combined, and then it got split out. Anyway, there's 4 folks that work in human resources right now. And they have all the usual expenditures for a department.
The number is decreasing. Are we going down an FTE there, and is that what we're going
Yes,
to do?
until recently it was 5 people. Now there's
That's
only
what I was
4.
thinking. It was 5.
Yes. Now there's only 4.
And we're planning to stay that way.
That hasn't been decided yet. The next department is communications. This is also a newly formed department. This is media relations, all the things that, where's Jennifer? Jennifer and Derek, and they have one other staff person. They've requested another communications specialist. I will tell you, this is not their only budget. They have line items that pertain to them in EDC, the Dyke Fund, and Hotel Motel Occupancy Tax Fund. Those are funds that'll be covered in the next budget workshop. This is strictly what is covered for their department out of the general fund. Any questions on that?
It's the EDC, what are the other funds?
Hotel Motel Occupancy, Dyke Fund,
Thank you,
Cultural Arts.
yeah.
So are we adding headcount in this area from this year to next? Because it looks like there's like a 60% increase.
You can go back up to the salaries line item. I'm not sure where the current salary line, the current amended budget, that number is.
Wasn't it 2? Now
Was
it's
off.
3.
Yeah.
That's why it's changed because of Camilla. There were 2, and we hired a third one. So now we're looking for a 4th one. That's what they're asking.
And I don't know when the third person was hired. Okay.
So she wouldn't be on here.
But anyway,
That's what that is.
that would account for the
Right.
biggest difference, and all the benefits attached there too. Okay, next department, police. Not surprisingly, police has a large budget. The head count, not counting open positions, this is what's currently filled, is a total of 110. 84 officers and 26 civilians. That salary line item is only accounting for the currently filled positions with a 3% increase.
Is it unusual to pay the $700,000 a year in overtime, or?
Well, because of the short-staffed, then, I mean, the 527 year-end projection, all the year-end projections, I need to preface this with it saying that all the year-end projections will change before you adopt the budget. This is, as of a couple of days ago, extrapolated out 2 more months. So the overtime may not be 700,000 for the upcoming year, but
Okay.
we budgeted for it.
It's a projection. Yeah, Commissioner Getchus has just building on top of what he said, looking at that consistently across a 3-year spread, it suggests we're understaffed. And if we're meeting the need through overtime, then it seems like we need to add headcount. Is that a fair summary, Mayor Garza?
Yes,
I'd
exactly.
say so, and Interim Chief Patterson can answer those questions.
Yeah, and my understanding is long before ever I was elected, that's been an ongoing thread. What I also understand from talking with a lot of folks in the know is we've been eligible for certain grants to expand headcount, and that for different reasons that hasn't worked out. Is that fair?
Well, on the couple of the grants that I'm familiar with had requirements for hiring, and if you didn't hire, correct me if I'm wrong, James, if you didn't hire by a certain time, then you weren't gonna get the money. Right.
Yeah, so the grants you're talking about were from a prior administration, so my scope of knowledge on those would be somewhat small. But there is hiring difficulties with the police department, not specifically to the department, but the candidates that are applying.
Yeah, as I've tried to come up to speed on a number of these things, one of the things that I do is I look to cities that are similar to us. Large industrial base, growing similarly, and so that leads to LaPorte, Deer Park, Port Arthur, others that are more like us. And consistently, when you look at a patrol officers to citizens, like a per capita measure, it says we are grossly understaffed. I'm just off, I'm the new guy, or would you agree?
I would not argue against that fact, no, not at all.
Yeah, and so then when you're grossly understaffed, then the way that you try to address need is through lots and lots of overtime, which then leads to other challenges. Is that also a fair summary? Morale, people are worked to the bone.
That would be fair, yes.
Okay, so it seems like maybe that's something that needs some more offline discussion of what can we do to try to remedy that. Hey, is there an elephant in the room?
No, I think that process started a few months back.
And the termination pay is when the officers retire or
Yes,
resign?
yes.
And then, I guess it'd be, for the chief, we're clothing, we got 140,625. Is that because we have so many different uniforms, or is that just what it takes? I don't see any two officers wearing the same uniform. There's different polos and.
Yeah, so there are uniform options. There's a lot that goes into, it's not just clothing and uniforms. There are equipment items that are purchased out of that line as well, such as radio batteries, duty rigs, handcuff pouches, holsters, those types of things are also purchased out of that line.
Okay.
If you have a police officer, you get on a laptop,
Yeah, I think we have more questions. This is an area of high interest.
Or here. Jim, you wanna use that?
Get comfy.
And I can sit down, so.
I got one for the food and jail supplies, and I don't know, but do we house other agencies' inmates?
So yes, we currently have a MOU with Clear Lake Shores, and we do house their municipal Class C inmates, yes.
That's it, just Clear Lake Shores?
Correct. Currently in the process of working with, the prior administration agreed to have the same type of MOU with Hitchcock, and that has not started as far as I'm aware. We're still waiting on their municipal paperwork and their judge information.
What would be the benefit to that?
Commissioner Sharp, we can't hear you.
What would be the benefit to that? with
It does provide a source of revenue for the city. Currently, they pay $50 per calendar day that a subject is there. I would say that it doesn't cost us $50 to feed and or house that inmate. So it is a revenue source, plus it's a good faith gesture to surrounding law enforcement agencies.
But we're liable to them too, right, when they're in our jail?
That would be accurate, yes.
One other one. I don't remember what it's called. There's a grant, correct me if I'm wrong, and we used to have it. They pull people over, I'm sorry, that's my bad. Pull people over and they supply it. You have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, STEP grant. Yes, sir.
You think that's something we could try to do again, or are we looking
We
at
currently
this?
still have it. And actually, last year, our STEP grant was almost doubled. So we went from, I think, well, not quite doubled, that current grant is a $49,000 grant, but it's a match grant. So the city matches half of that grant with the state.
So we never stopped doing that?
No, it's still ongoing.
I apologize, I'm sorry. Misinformed.
So now, does any of the inmates from other agencies, do we have our judge?
No.
He has no participation at all with that?
Correct. So the agreement with Clear Lake Shores is they have a safe that is in the jail where all of their money goes. They have a judge that responds to our facility to magistrate and/or make determinations as far as their inmates. Their police officers obviously transport here. We don't transport for them. So they basically rent our jail facility from us, but they're a self-contained unit outside of that. At the end of each month, we run a report that shows how many inmates they had in the jail. We provide that to finance, and they invoice Clear Lake Shores, who then submits payment to the city.
And one last question. If we have a suicide or a major incident in jail, it's on our city, or their legal team picks up their inmate?
That's a great question. We have not dealt with that type of situation at the moment. Like I said, we are housing their Class C arrests, so any Class B and aboves or serious offenses would go straight to Galveston County. That's something that we have not dealt with. So I don't
Could you look into that for me with our legal people?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
But we are liable. We do accept liability when they're in our jail, right?
Like sitting here right now, I would say yes. I do believe I'd have to revisit the contract, but yes.
Yeah, if they hung themselves, they'd probably fall under the same thing, I would think. But
Yeah, one would assume
that's likely to happen.
someone dies in our custody, we're liable. Back to the topic of legal. So if we are the party to litigation, we're being sued for whatever the cause is there a line item in here?
Yes, we do have a professional fees line item built into our budget.
It's kind of small, huh? 80K to 96K? Or am I looking at the wrong line item?
Fortunately, that is a line item that we've operated, and we're currently en route to operate under that projected amount. I think if we are administrating and doing our job efficiently, I don't think that's a line item that we would expect to supersede.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I'm definitely for less police-related litigation and not more. This is a topic that when we were elected, we had a lot of things that we were trying to address, but public safety was like the top 3, and a lot of front porch, front lawn conversations about this matter. And so the perception is there's more litigation than is showing up right here, but candidly, we don't know. Like, this is a topic, I think I spoke to you in the hallway, like we've been asking for information about this. I'll move on. The line item there on equipment rental from $46K to $524,000, that's about a $480,000 increase. What are we renting?
So the equipment rental line, and that number may be offset a little bit based on prior budget movement. We mentioned the communications line was previously moved. Our communications line,
Puts and takes from A to B?
yes, under prior administration. So equipment rental is a line that we use. We have several contracts with, for instance, our body cameras are a contract item. Our in-car cameras are a contract item. So with Axon, the actual business is Axon. That's where we pull those funds from, having those contractual obligations. The other thing that may be included in that line would be flock cameras, would come from an equipment rental line, so.
Commissioners, just for the sake of time, we have about 11 minutes left. I don't know how far y'all want to get, how detailed you want to get, but we have a commission meeting.
I think we're only
starting at
about 40% through it, Mayor Garza. So maybe we need to have a part 2 that allows more time. Yeah, I think I had expressed to Joe, maybe I need my own meeting and we can just set aside a day. I got a lot of questions. Yeah.
I think everyone
Can't
makes
do
himself
that.
available to ask questions, so Ms. Boyd sent this morning. If we have any questions, she's available to take those questions.
Well, and then the meeting on the 12th is at 5 o'clock, and we'll cover the other funds and then revisit anything that was not answered or asked at this meeting. Can be taken care of next week meeting.
Okay, because we do have one comment from a citizen. So
Did you wanna-
can you get as far as you can, maybe with
Yeah.
5 minutes left or
Okay.
something?
Fire department is next. In this one, there are 98 civil service plus civilians, which is 95 firefighters and 3 civilians. They requested 1 training officer, 1 assistant EMS director, and of course, all the personnel for Station 5, which I have not included in this. A big chunk of those expenses won't come until later on in '27. Anyway, it'll be brought back before commission to fund that. So if you want to go to neighborhood improvement services.
Mayor, I would propose that if, given we've got another meeting to start, minutes, that we need to park on this. And it just, for the record, I've got a lot more on just police. And I just want to address a comment made by Commissioner Knox, and certainly I'm a big fan of Ms. Boyd, and I can send her my questions. But the whole idea of this is, let's have it out in the public. It needs to be out in the public. So I think maybe we want to have another meeting that includes the public.
And what Ms. Boyd said was that we do have to have the second part next week, and then we can go back to this part that we didn't finish, because we do not have a commission meeting next week.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Just do this real quick. Neighborhood improvement services, also known as code enforcement, is its own separate department, but they report to the fire department. And there are 3 of those employees. You want to go to inspections? Inspections department currently has 10 employees to handle all that's going on in Texas City. They don't have too big a change from the current year to next year. And I'll just leave it at that. Municipal court and the rest we can cover next week.
We can reconvene, I like that idea. Thank you, Ms. Boyd, very much. For the sake of time, we have 1 public comment. Mr. Jose Boyce, do you want to come up, sir?
Thank you, Mayor Garza and Commissioners. I just had, this is very complicated for the community anyhow, but I just looked at 3 things for you to consider. Senate Bill 1851 prohibits municipalities from raising tax rates above the no new revenue threshold if they fail to complete and submit required annual financial audits and statements. The next one is the most recent financial statement that was audited is 2024, and that was called the 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, PDF, and the 2024 Federal Single Audit Report. That's the only thing that is posted. And then in that report, there were 4 sets of corrective actions included with the 2024 audit report, and they have some deadlines, some of which are in June, July, August, and September 30th of this year. So when I look at all that, my main concern is that how can we calculate a no new revenue threshold? Can we do that effectively and perhaps legally if we don't have any audits to use as a basis? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Boyce, just for the sake of the question, we do have an answer to that, so we'll definitely get back with you. If no other comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned.
Who said?